The monitors had almost gone quiet when the last doctor stepped back from the bed and shook his head. The man lying there had survived deserts, mountains, and battles most soldiers never returned from, yet now he was dying in a quiet hospital room in the United States. 20 doctors had tried to reach him, 20 specialists had attempted every method they knew, but the legendary Navy SEAL sniper refused them all. His body was shutting down, and no one understood why. The medical team whispered the same word in the hallway, hopeless. But what none of them expected was that the only person who could reach him was the youngest nurse in the building, a rookie no one even noticed. Before we continue, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you believe that kindness and second chances can change a life. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the smallest voice can make the biggest difference. The man in the hospital bed was 38-year-old Nathaniel Brooks, a decorated Navy SEAL sniper known among his unit as one of the calmest and most precise marksmen they had ever seen. For more than a decade, Nathaniel had protected his teammates during dangerous missions overseas. His steady hands and patient eyes had saved countless lives. Soldiers who served beside him often said that when Nathaniel was watching over them from a distance, they felt invincible. But the quiet warrior had returned home from his last deployment carrying wounds that no battlefield medic could fully heal. A mission in the mountains months earlier had nearly taken his life. Severe injuries and complications had forced doctors to rush him back to the United States. Since then, he had been drifting between consciousness and silence inside a military hospital in Virginia. The strange part was that his injuries alone didn't explain his decline. His vital signs would stabilize whenever doctors intervened, yet somehow his body continued to deteriorate. Specialists from across the country arrived one after another, studying charts and scanning monitors, but Nathaniel refused them all. Every time someone approached his bedside, he would turn away or fall into a deep unresponsive state, as if his mind had closed the door to the world. Dr. Michael Lawson, the hospital's senior trauma physician, had personally called 19 experts to evaluate the case. Each of them left with the same confusion and frustration. They could treat the wounds, regulate the medications, monitor every heartbeat, but none of them could reach the man himself. Something inside Nathaniel had locked down completely. The hallway outside his room became a quiet place filled with worried conversations. Some believed the sniper had simply lost the will to fight. Others thought the trauma of war had built invisible walls around him. Whatever the reason, the result was the same: the strongest soldier in the ward was fading away. While the specialists debated complicated medical explanations, a new nurse had just begun her first week on the floor. Her name was Hannah Carter, a 24-year-old graduate fresh out of nursing school in Ohio. She had always dreamed of working in a hospital where she could care for veterans returning from service. Hannah was quiet, observant, and often overlooked by the experienced staff rushing through their busy shifts. Most days she simply followed instructions, checking charts and delivering medication with careful hands. But Hannah had a habit that made her different from many others. She paid attention to the small things. During one late evening shift, the hospital corridors grew calmer, and the lights dimmed slightly as visitors left. Hannah was assigned routine checks in several rooms, including Nathaniel Brooks's. She had heard the whispers about him from other nurses. The legendary sniper who refused treatment. The patient 20 doctors couldn't reach. When she stepped inside the room, the atmosphere felt heavy and still. Machines hummed quietly beside the bed. Nathaniel's face looked pale beneath the dim light, his strong features now worn and tired. His chest rose slowly with assisted breaths while the heart monitor blinked in steady but fragile rhythms. Hannah studied the chart at the foot of the bed, noticing the long list of doctors who had examined him. She also noticed something else buried in the notes: references to his military background and specialized training as a Navy SEAL sniper. Her older brother had served in the military years earlier, and Hannah remembered how he once explained that elite units often used call signs during operations. Those names weren't just code words, they were part of a soldier's identity. Most of the staff focused only on Nathaniel's medical condition. Hannah wondered if something deeper had been forgotten. She pulled a chair beside the bed and sat quietly, observing him for several minutes. Nathaniel didn't respond when she adjusted the blanket or checked the 4 lines. The room remained silent except for the soft beeping of the monitor. Then Hannah leaned slightly closer and did something none of the doctors had thought to try. In a calm, steady voice, she spoke a single phrase she had discovered in the notes of an old mission report. The call sign. For a moment nothing changed. The monitor continued its slow rhythm. Nathaniel's eyes remained closed. But then, almost imperceptibly, his fingers twitched. Hannah froze, watching carefully. She repeated the call sign again, softly, like someone calling a friend across a quiet room. This time Nathaniel's breathing shifted. His eyelids trembled slightly as if something deep within him had stirred awake. The monitors reacted instantly, showing a stronger rhythm than before. Within seconds, the change became undeniable. Nathaniel Brooks slowly opened his eyes. Across the hallway, the night staff noticed the sudden spike in the monitor readings and rushed into the room. Dr. Lawson arrived moments later, stunned to see the sniper conscious for the first time in days. The doctors immediately began checking his vitals, adjusting medications, and asking urgent questions. But Nathaniel wasn't looking at them. His tired eyes remained fixed on the young nurse sitting quietly beside the bed. Something about that simple call sign had broken through a barrier no medical treatment could reach. For Nathaniel, it was more than a nickname. It was a reminder of who he had been before the pain, before the injuries, before the long silence. It reminded him that he was still a protector, still a soldier who had people counting on him. Over the following days, Nathaniel's recovery surprised everyone in the hospital. His strength gradually returned, and his mind grew clearer with each passing hour. Doctors who had nearly given up now studied the case with amazement. They realized that the turning point had nothing to do with advanced medicine or complicated procedures. It had come from a simple human connection. Hannah continued visiting his room during her shifts, speaking with him gently while helping with routine care. She never acted like a hero. To her, she had only done what felt right, treating the patient like a person instead of just a case. Weeks later, Nathaniel was strong enough to walk slowly down the hospital hallway. Veterans and staff members who recognized him nodded with quiet respect as he passed. At the end of the corridor, he paused beside a window overlooking the hospital grounds, breathing deeply as sunlight touched his face. The sniper who once watched over others from distant mountains had been brought back not by a weapon, not by a medal, but by a single voice that remembered who he truly was. Before we reach the end of this story, here's a special request for you. Comment the word "hope" below if you believe that even the smallest act of kindness can change someone's life. Nathaniel eventually left the hospital months later, continuing rehabilitation and slowly rebuilding his strength. But one thing he never forgot was the moment a rookie nurse spoke the name that brought him back from silence. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the most powerful healing doesn't come from advanced technology or years of experience. Sometimes it comes from someone who simply listens, notices, and cares enough to reach a human heart. And if this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep stories of courage, compassion, and second chances alive for others who might need them today. Red Heart.